Welcome back to a special edition of SwamiLee's Sports Talk. I'm Swami Lee.
I am not Mellow Mike because I'm so damned excited about this secret topic we're going to deal with.
Yes, Mike has absolutely no idea the topic. This topic was inspired by some internet banter that I had been seeing, and I feel that it is very important that we discuss it. The topic I am now bringing up on my iPad, Mike will see it for the very first time. Okay? Mike, this is the topic we are going to be discussing. Oops. The iPad is not cooperating, so forgive me. We're discussing that guy, Thurman Munson, the captain. The guy who unfortunately lost his life in a plane crash as he did not like to be away from his family, so he got his pilot's license and permission to fly back to his home in the Canton, Ohio area on off days. And unfortunately, it cost him his life on, I think it was August 2nd, 1979, if I'm correct. Now, the thing we have to understand about Thurman Munson, nobody's going to take away the fact that he was one of the best catchers for a brief period of time. But because he's a New York Yankee, Yankee fans insist that he was the greatest player to ever put on a uniform. Like every Yankee. Yankee fans would be happy if every Yankee got in the Hall of Fame. If Gerald Ice Williams was a Hall of Famer, Yankee fans would justify it. It's a little scary, to tell you the truth. Thurman Munson could even be considered the best catcher in baseball for a couple seasons. Now, I'm going to cheat. I never do this. My memory is not what it used to be. But these are Thurman Munson's numbers. Tell me a Hall of Famer has 1,558 hits.
Phil Rizzuto.
Exactly. You just backed up my case. He's a Yankee. He should be a Hall of Famer. It doesn't matter if he actually deserved it or not. He played for the Yankees. Make him a Hall of Famer. The guy hit 113 home runs. 1,558 hits. He had an OPS of 756. Not bad. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a bad player. He had one season with 20 home runs. Yes, he had one season. Again, I'm cheating, so forgive me, but I don't usually do this. He knocked in 100 runs 3 times. They were his 3 best seasons, 75, 76, and 77. He batted over 300 all 3 of those seasons. For 3 years, he was the best catcher in the game. Mike, here are the numbers. What do you feel about Thurman Munson being in the Hall of Fame? Is he a candidate, in your opinion? I mean, the Baseball Writers Association of America didn't think so.
Well,
Oops. You see, this is what happens. You set him up, and he knocks it down.
Okay. While the Swami brings us back to Thurman Munson's lifetime stats, let me just say that it's supposed to be the Hall of Fame, arguably not just for great players, but for all-time great players. And the fact that it has been diluted significantly is a discussion for another day.
God knows.
The fact, for instance, that Phil Rizzuto is there,
Oof.
or
Harold Baines.
We're not going to use those to justify lowering the threshold even more and bringing in Thurman Munson. And don't get me wrong, Thurman was an integral part of the very good, arguably great Yankee teams of the mid to late 70s. But you know what? That isn't good enough, because baseball is partly about individual performance. And you know what? I remember a guy on the Big Red Machine named Ed Armbrister. The Swami remembers him, I can tell. And the fact that Ed was on several great Reds teams and got 2 rings doesn't get him in the Hall of Fame. And that is an extreme example because Ed was no Thurman Munson.
I actually have a better example for you than Ed Armbrust.
Go right ahead.
Bucky Dent. He's far from a Hall of Famer, but tell me the Yankees win 2 World Series without Bucky Dent. They don't even make one of the World Series without Bucky Dent, if you think about it.
They don't even make the playoffs that year without Bucky Dent.
Correct. But it doesn't make Bucky Dent a Hall of Famer just because he was a key part to that team.
Just like it doesn't make Greg Nettles a Hall of Famer, or Chris Chambliss, or Willie Randolph.
Ed Figueroa. Let's just name all the Yankees. What about John Zuber?
Well, now you're kind of going far
I am.
afield.
Bottom line, but I'm going to actually play devil's advocate for a minute. Yes, you heard me. I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute. I'm actually going to come to Thurman Munson's defense for a moment, which you
Well,
won't
that's
hear
surprising.
It is, because I want to be fair about it. Everybody thinks I just rip players and have no. I rip them because I have the knowledge to rip them. Thurman Munson had a 46.1 WAR. Now, personally, I subscribe to the Boy George philosophy that war is stupid and people are stupid. But for those who don't get the joke, don't worry about it. But the point of the story is, that's a pretty high WAR. And if we did some research, I believe we'd find that to be one of the higher WARs for a catcher.
Well, before you continue that train of thought, I subscribe to a different philosophy about war. The war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again philosophy. But I think we're both getting to the right place there.
Well, see, I look through here, and this is baseballreference.com, which is a great site. I'm sure you all know about that. You'll be watching this. It does interesting things. For example, the average Hall of Famer, I'm not going to go into what everything means. The gray ink, which is one way to measure Hall of Famer, 46 is what Munson is. 144 is the average Hall of Famer. But there's something else called the Hall of Fame Monitor, and he gets 90 when 100 is a Hall of Famer. So he's not that far off. But then we go to Hall of Fame standards, and he's 29 and 50. Bottom line, at the end of the day, he is compared to Terry Steinbach, Tim McCarver, Manny Sanguian, and Jack Clements, and the ever-famous Terry Kennedy are the 5 most similar players to Thurman Munson. Mike, I have a question for you. Why doesn't this say Johnny Bench? Why doesn't this say Carlton Fisk if Thurman Munson was right up there with the best catchers of the era?
Well, I suppose that's because offensively and defensively he couldn't hold a candle to Bench or Fisk.
But he's the captain. But he's the captain. That's what the Yankee fans like to respond with. He's the captain. You know, he's the captain that I'm cheating, so forgive me. But this is a guy that you're looking at. 1 year, 13 home runs, 60 RBIs, and a 261 batting average. Not his last year. That was right before his 3 good years. You know, he had 3 good years. You're going to put a guy in the Hall of Fame because 3
I need to
years.
interrupt. Did you say 3 great years or 3 good years?
For a catcher, they're great years.
Okay.
I'm going to give him that, okay? Now, I'm not saying if you play left field that I'd be calling these great years. But when you're a catcher in the 70s and you're knocking in 100 runs, you're having a great season because catching back in the 70s, much like shortstops, were not offensive positions at all. So I'm not, and you know what? In 73, when he had 20 home runs, knocked in 74 RBIs, it's a pretty darn good year. And I'm not taking away from him. And he batted 301 that same year. It's a pretty good offensive year. But is that a Hall of Fame year on a shortened career? And that's what I'm talking about. It just, the numbers are not there. No matter how many times we can go. My favorite argument, this is my favorite argument. Well, if Thurman had not died, he would have put up 5-6 more top seasons. Well, once again, we're cheating and we're looking at the numbers. But after his 18 home runs, 100 RBI season, his next year, he hit 6 home runs and knocked in 71. And then in 79, before his unfortunate passing, he had 3 home runs, 39 RBIs. His knees were shot. He was homesick. Every book I've read said that, and I've read a lot of them, it said that he would have either retired or been traded to Cleveland, or maybe Cincinnati, but probably Cleveland, when his contract expired with the Yankees. There's no way he would have put another even 500 hits in his career. He would have been lucky to get to 1,800 hits. He would have been lucky to get to 140 home runs. I just don't see it happening. I see him as a really good ball player whose career ended too soon due to injury and, of course, unfortunate passing. Show me a Hall of Fame numbers there beyond 3 seasons. And you guys show me one Hall of Famer that gets there because of 3 good years. I realize Sandy Koufax, I don't know Koufax well. What was it, 6 or 7 dominant years?
6.
6 dominant years. But Sandy Koufax also was the best at his position by far during those 6 years. Thurman Munson wasn't even the best catcher in baseball.
He wasn't even the best catcher in his division.
That's true. That's true. But it could be like the old Derek Jeter thing, when he wasn't even the best shortstop on his own team for 10 seasons, or 8 seasons, as he did it again. So bottom line, Mike, let me ask you this question. Thurman Munson, he's got a big following now. They're coming up with Thurman Munson for Hall of Fame groups. Okay, Facebook gives you a chance to reach out to millions of Yankee fans that think every Yankee's a Hall of Famer. Okay, so they'll jump on the bandwagon when you go Scott Brocious for Hall of Fame. They'll jump in there and think he deserves it because he wore the pinstripes. Thurman Munson, what are the chances in your mind he ever makes it to the Hall of Fame?
Well, you did mention Harold Baines, and the fact is, Thurman Munson was, it pains me to say this, something of a leader, something of a key cog on a team that actually won something, and I don't recall Harold Baines achieving that, although Baines put up much better numbers. But stranger things have happened. I mean, just like you hear people talking about people saying in the 50s how, Phil Rizzuto was the heart and soul of that team. I believe it was Ted Williams who said that if we had Rizzuto and the Yankees had Vern Stevens, then it would have been the Red Sox who had the dynasty. And I don't buy that myself, although I wasn't alive to see it. But
I think Mickey Mantle, Whitey Ford,
Yogi Berra,
guys like that may have had a little bit to do with that also. I also don't have the knowledge of that era of baseball. I can't compare the Red Sox to the Yankees back in the 50s and that era in general. But we all know how Rizzuto made it in. And I think Munson will make it in the same way if he ever makes it in. And that's called friends on the committee. Without Yogi and Whitey, there's a better chance of me and Debbie Gibson dating, falling in love, getting married, and running away to Fiji together than Thurman Munson getting into the Hall of Fame. But if his friends get in the committee, I threw myself off. I got so into this whole Debbie Gibson thing. Of Rizzuto never would have made it in the Hall of Fame. They said before the voting, everybody knew this was going to be the year because Yogi and Whitey were on the committee. And Debbie, by the way, I'm here, just so you know. You know how to get me. I'm on Twitter. Just anyway, see anytime. Just say the word. So Thurman Munson is only getting in with friends on the committee, in my opinion.
And who would you say those friends on the committees might hypothetically be?
See, that's the thing. It may be too late. I don't think he's going to have friends on the committee. I think that if you look at his era of play, Reggie Jackson, who of course was never a big fan of his, these are the bigger names that were playing with him.
I mean, the best option would have been Catfish, who sadly is not with us.
Catfish has been long gone. They're not going to make Chris Chambliss is not going to be on the committee. Willie Randolph is not going to be on the committee. Bucky Dent's not going to be on the committee. Greg Nettles isn't going to be on the committee.
Don't forget Roy White, who will not be on the committee.
That would be Roy White Jr., by the way, just to be clear, for those who don't know any better. You know, Oscar Gamble is dead. It's not going to be him.
His throw lives on, however.
It always will. Ed Figueroa is not going to make it. Don Gullett's not going to make it. Rich Gossage isn't probably going to be on the committee. So I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think. But I'll leave you this one caveat. When Harold Baines got in, they may just be putting everybody. I mean, Baines, Trammell, they're good players. I want them on my team. I want them in the Hall of Fame. I'll tell you that right now.
Gosh, is Bobby Abreu next?
Well, Bobby Abreu is going to the Phillies Wall of Fame, but we're not going there today. We're not going there today. We're sticking with the Yankees today. And all you out there that are going rah rah Yankees, put them all in the Hall of Fame. Give us our own wing, okay? I want to make sure that at all times, I want to make sure that Homer Bush makes the Hall of Fame because I believe he put on a Yankee uniform for a short while. Okay, every Yankee in history should be in the Hall of Fame, and that's just wrong. Mike, any final thoughts on Thurman Munson, Thurman Thomas, Strom Thurman, Mark Thurman, or Thurm the Lobster from the A-Team?
Well, how about Nate Thurman, the NBA star?
Nah, basketball bores me.
Okay. Well, I could tell everybody where I was when, when Thurman died. It's a boring story. Maybe I'll save it for another time. The bottom line is that, sure, Thurman was the starting catcher on a team that, won 3 consecutive pennants, 2 championships. Some might say he was the straw that stirred the drink, although I know some people feel otherwise. But the bottom line is, Major League Baseball history is littered with players like Thurman, who put together a string of good seasons. Many put together more than 3 consecutive good seasons. Many contributed to championships. And that does not make them great players. And the Hall of Fame has to be reserved for great players. And even though that barrier has been knocked down repeatedly, I'm for erecting it again. We need to build that wall and keep the likes of Thurman Munson and Bobby Abreu, and I could go on, out of the Hall of Fame.
Jorge Posada, another 1,500 hit Yankee that everybody thinks should be in the Hall of Fame.
Andy Pettitte.
Andy Pettitte is a borderline issue. That's for another day. I would not be as opposed to him compared to these other guys we've been talking about. Not that I'm necessarily a pro Pettitte, because Pettitte took HGH or whatever it was. So, but that being said, I have a feeling that wall is coming down. I think you're going to start seeing some of those guys. I mean, Pudge Rodriguez, for heaven's sake, he came to camp one year half the size that he was the previous year. He made it in the Hall of Fame. So keep that in mind. So, bottom line, at the end of the day, all you pro-Thurman Hall of Fame Yankee people getting your own committees together, that's just great. My question I pose to you, if Dale Murphy had died in 1987, would he be a Hall of Famer? If your answer is no, then you're just a Yankee lover and a hypocrite. And you have no knowledge of sports or baseball.
Well, I know that you were going to leave that as your parting shot, but I have to respond to that. Because the fact is that Dale Murphy put together a couple of great seasons. Not good, a couple of great seasons.
Back-to-back MVP.
Yeah, but that's because he was voted MVP. That doesn't count for as much.
Well, Thurman was MVP one time. You'll see these Yankee people standing up and shouting from rooftops. He won an MVP award.
Doesn't count for much. The point is that Dale Murphy's not a Hall of Famer now. And that doesn't mean that Thurman should be. It doesn't mean that Dale should be. But the fact is, if Dale had died sooner, well, no, he still wouldn't have been a Hall of Famer.
His numbers would have been stronger is why I asked that question. His numbers would have been stronger because Dale Murphy fell off the face of the earth around 87 or so. I don't know the exact year, but it was around 87 or so.
So you're saying then, like Kirby Puckett, who stopped playing at the peak.
Correct. But I mean, Kirby Puckett put together some numbers. But, you know, if Kirby Puckett had 4 injury-plagued seasons after he retired, like, I don't know if he would have been as much of a Hall of Famer. I think they said, look, he played 10 years, and the guy had 2,000-something hits. That's crazy numbers for a guy who played for 10 seasons. These Yankee fans, if he played 14 seasons, Thurman Munson, and you prorated his numbers, you gave him 150 home runs, you gave him 1,900 hits, he's probably not, you don't even have a leg to stand on. Their leg to stand on is he only played 10 years.
And of course, our leg to stand on is look at the drop-off his last season and 3/4, season and 2/3, all of 78, and that part of 79 when he played.
And look at his years before those 3 bang-up years. They weren't that good. So that's our thoughts. We appreciate you tuning in. I know you Yankee fans are just dying to watch this over and over and over again. We appreciate it. For SwamiLee's Sports Talk, I'm Swami Lee.
I am Worked Up Mike.
And we'll see you next time. I'm sure we can come up with another great Yankees topic.
Bye-bye.